This is an overview of the security impact of AI on organizational leadership by Virtualization Options LLC, and it's designed to be a starting point for a training conversation.
All right, before we really jump in, just a quick heads up. This is a general overview, and there's no warranty either expressed or implied by Virtualization Options LLC. So let's start with the big question. Why is everyone scrambling to get on the AI train? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Money. A lot of money. We're talking about a potential $4.4 trillion in annual economic value, according to McKinsey. I mean, that's just a mind-boggling number, right? And it totally explains the pressure cooker environment to innovate and get ahead. But, and this is a big but, with that kind of massive opportunity comes some equally massive risk. Okay, this quote right here, this gets to the absolute core of the issue. You see, for years, we've thought about cybersecurity as building a fortress, right? You build high walls and a strong gate to keep the bad guys out. But with AI, that whole model gets turned on its head. AI systems aren't outsiders trying to break in. They're already inside. They're digital insiders, with the keys to the kingdom, privileged access to your most critical systems and data. And when one of those insiders goes rogue or gets compromised, wow, the damage they can do from the inside is just staggering. All right, so that brings us to our first big topic, threats in the boardroom. We're talking about understanding the risks that, frankly, you just can't delegate.
So let's get right to it. What are these risks that land squarely on your shoulders as a leader? Well, they really boil down to two main buckets, two areas that hit your strategy and your liability hard. First up, you've got these huge strategic decision risks. I mean, just imagine for a second, you're about to make a massive multi-million-dollar bet based on what your AI is telling you. But what if those insights were secretly manipulated? That's a recipe for disaster. And then on the other side, you've got liability and compliance exposure. We're talking about this serious legal and regulatory fallout when your AI messes up. Things like data breaches, bias results, you name it. The buck stops with leadership on that one. So you might be asking, how does this even happen? Well, one of the sneakiest ways is something called data poisoning. Now, this isn't your classic server hack. No, this is much more subtle. It's about feeding the AI bad data, corrupted, malicious stuff, while it's in its training phase. The AI just learns it. It bakes these hidden backdoors or biases right into its core logic, which an attacker can then use later on. It's so clever and so hard to spot. And then there's this other big one, prompt injection. This is where the very thing that makes these AI systems so amazing, their ability to understand and respond to plain English, is actually used as a weapon against you. A clever attacker can write a special prompt, a command that essentially tricks the AI into breaking its own rules. It can be fooled into bypassing its security controls and spitting out confidential information or doing things it should never, ever do. And look, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. This is happening right now. Just this year, in 2024, we saw a case study with Slack's new AI. Researchers used this exact technique, prompt injection, to get past its security. And what happened? They exposed private data and even information from confidential channels. It was a huge wake-up call. It proved that these AI features we're all starting to rely on can be twisted to violate trust, and it really hammered home the point that our old-school security playbooks just aren't enough anymore. Okay, so with all those threats in mind, how do we even start to tackle this? It's clear we need a new way of thinking about control and oversight. And that brings us perfectly into our next section, frameworks for governance. You know, real effective governance, it has to start at the very top. It's all about clear accountability. So the board needs to handle the high-level oversight, right? They set the AI strategy, they decide how much risk the company is willing to take. But then it's the C-suite that has to take direct ownership. You need to designate a specific executive who is the person accountable for AI governance, and they need to have the real authority to make sure the policies are actually followed everywhere. And please, don't think of this as a one-and-done project. It's just not. AI governance is a living, breathing cycle. You start with strategy and planning. Then you move into implementation, where the key is to build security in from the ground up, not try to slap it on as an afterthought. And finally, you have to constantly monitor and evolve. The AI landscape, the threats, the regulations, they're changing literally by the day. Your governance has to be just as agile. Now, let's move beyond just rules and frameworks and talk about building genuine AI resilience. This is about being prepared not just to prevent incidents, but to respond when they inevitably happen. It's a whole new approach, from incident response to fostering a real security culture.
When you look at an incident response plan for AI, you'll notice it's a bit different. Check out the timeline. You've got detection, assessment, containment, but then look at remediation. This isn't just about patching some code. For an AI system, remediation might mean you have to go back and completely retrain the model from scratch with clean data. That's a huge, complex undertaking. It's not something your standard IT security team can handle alone. You absolutely need your data scientists in the room for that. And that last point really highlights what we call the collaboration imperative. AI security is a team sport. It absolutely cannot live in a silo. Think about it. IT and security know the infrastructure. Legal and compliance know the regulations. Your data science team has that deep technical AI expertise. And your business units, they know the operational context and the real-world risks. You have to get all of these different perspectives around the same table. It's the only way to get a full 360-degree view of the risks. Okay, so we've covered the threats, the governance, and the need for resilience. Let's pull it all together in our final section, leadership's call to action. What are your strategic priorities for making AI secure?
It really boils down to 3 key things you need to focus on. First, you have to embed security as a foundation. Think of it as an enabler for innovation, not some roadblock that gets in the way. Second, you have to invest in capabilities. And I mean really invest. Put real resources behind getting the right talent, the right tools, and the right training. And third, and this might be the most important, you have to foster the right culture. A culture of transparency, where it's okay, even encouraged, to talk openly about the risks and ethics of AI. So when we talk about where to put your money, this strategic investment framework really lays it out. Look, security tools are important, training and advisory services are too, but see that first bar? Talent. That's your number 1 priority. Your single most critical investment is in people, in that human expertise. You need people on your team who truly get the unique, complex intersection of AI and security. They're going to be your most valuable asset, period.
And that leaves us with one final crucial question, one I really want you to take back to your own leadership teams. When you think about the incredible speed of change and the sheer scale of these new risks, ask yourselves honestly, are we truly prepared to guide our organization safely into this AI-powered future? And just as we wrap up, a quick reminder, this is a general overview with no warranty expressed or implied by Virtualization Options LLC. Remember, this whole briefing is designed to be a starting point for a deeper training conversation. Because every organization is unique, we work directly with each one to develop custom training that really addresses your specific needs, your unique risk exposure, and of course, your productivity goals.